For several iPhone generations, Apple has moved to a familiar beat: yearly refinements, thoughtful polish, and careful iteration. Yet from the front, the iPhone's look has remained largely unchanged. We went from the notch to the dynamic island, but the overall approach stayed restrained, almost conservative. Now, a growing chorus of supply chain leaks and display industry insiders suggest the iPhone 18 Pro could mark the beginning of a much bigger shift, one Apple has been quietly engineering for years. This isn't about flashy gimmicks or overnight reinvention. It's about Apple doing what Apple does best: hiding extraordinary complexity beneath this armingly simple design. And the clearest expression of that philosophy may be coming to the display. Under display Face ID. Under display Face ID, Apple's long game. Finally in motion, Android brands have dabbled in under-display cameras and sensors for years, and the results have often missed the mark: soft selfies, unreliable recognition, and visible artifacts where the panel tries to mask the hardware beneath. Apple opted out of that public trial and error phase. Instead, it appears to have spent years building a solution that meets its own exacting standards. Multiple sources in the Chinese supply chain point to Apple testing a micro-transparent glass window embedded directly inside the OLED. To the naked eye, this area looks like regular screen, but it quietly lets specific wavelengths of infrared light pass through with minimal distortion. That matters because Face ID isn't a simple selfie camera. It relies on a coordinated array of infrared projectors, flood illuminators, and depth sensors to create a secure 3D map of your face. Rather than cutting a hole or relying on a punch-out, Apple's approach blends that sensing window invisibly into the display. The promise is straightforward Face ID that works as fast, as secure, and as reliable as it does today, without consuming visible real estate on the front of the iPhone 18 Pro. Not magic material science behind the scenes. The reported display stack uses nano-pattern layers, precision coatings, and micro-perforated glass structures that selectively transmit IR light while preserving color accuracy and brightness for the pixels above. The concept isn't new. The difference now is scale. Suppliers are said to be ramping production, a strong signal that Apple is moving beyond prototypes. Add in Apple's calibration and machine learning corrections for light scatter, angle, and diffraction, and you get the kind of consistency Face ID requires for Apple Pay, password autofill, and secure app authentication. It's the same user experience, just cleaner, quieter, and more immersive. The dynamic island isn't going away yet. Early chatter. Imagine under display Face ID killing the dynamic island. That's not where credible reporting points. Display analyst Ross Young has repeatedly noted that Apple plans to keep a smaller dynamic island for at least another cycle. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman has echoed that thinking, saying Apple sees the island as a unique iPhone signature functional UI animated personality, instantly recognizable. Expect the dynamic island on iPhone 18 Pro to shrink. Most of the Face ID hardware would live invisibly under the display, with only essential elements remaining in a reduced pill-shaped cutout. That frees up meaningful screen area while preserving the interactive elements users rely on for live activities. Now playing, timers, navigation, calls, and more. Apple rarely drops a defining feature in one shot. It prefers measured transitions marketed as major breakthroughs at every step. A smaller dynamic island fits that playbook perfectly and keeps the iPhone from blending into a grid of generic punch hole slabs. Why Apple won't copy the punch hole? Crowd. A single punch hole camera might be simpler. It would also make the iPhone look like a lot of Android phones, instantly less distinctive. Apple's design language values identity. The dynamic island, for all the debated sparks, is undeniably Apple, an elegant fusion of hardware and software that turns a necessary intrusion into living UI. By shrinking it rather than killing it, Apple preserves that identity while moving toward the endgame, a truly uninterrupted display. And it buys time to perfect the hardest piece of the puzzle, a high-quality under-display camera that can match today's image quality. Heavier iPhone 18 Pro Max on purpose, visually cleaner front. Heavier in the hand. Yes, both can be true at once. According to leaker Instant Digital, the iPhone 18 Pro Max could tip the scales past 240 grams, potentially making it the heaviest iPhone Apple has ever shipped and surpassing even the 14 Pro Max. Why add grams in a world obsessed with thin and light? Likely because of trade-off, Apple considers worth it: a larger battery to sustain brighter displays, higher refresh rates, and more powerful silicon. Advanced thermal management rumors point to a steel-based vapor chamber, denser graphite layers, and reinforced internal framing for heat dissipation, more robust structural components to protect the display stack and maintain durability, upgraded camera hardware, including moving elements for a variable aperture system and improved stabilization. For pro buyers who prize battery life, sustained performance, and camera capability, that extra weight may feel like a fair trade, even if a phone edging toward mini dumbbell territory raises questions about comfort over long use. New iPhone 18 Pro colors, bold bets. Classic Apple, every Pro cycle gets a hero finish. And the iPhone 18 Pro is reportedly testing 3 striking options: burgundy, deep purple, and brown. Only one is expected to ship, but all 3 have gone through internal evaluations. Burgundy would be Apple's deepest, most sophisticated red on a Pro iPhone, and a potential instant classic if the tone and metallic treatment land just right. Deep purple would revisit the fan favorite iPhone 14 Pro shade, refined to feel more premium and mature. Brown is the wild card, historically risky in consumer tech, but Apple has a history of turning left-field colors into trends. With the right material finish and light play, even brown could stand out in a good way. Don't be surprised if Apple retires last year's flagship color to preserve a sense of exclusivity. It's a pattern that keeps the lineup feeling fresh. Treat early renders with caution. CADs and concept renders flood social feeds long before launch, but color, finish, micro texture, even the way light travels across the chassis can change late in development. What looks flat in a render can look stunning on stage under Apple's lights, and vice versa. Until the iPhone 18 Pro is official, take every leaked angle with a measured dose of skepticism. Design consistency with quiet refinement from the outside. Expect the iPhone 18 Pro to look instantly familiar. Flat edges, the signature triple camera layout, and sizes around 6.3 inches and 6.9 inches for the Pro and Pro Max, respectively. Apple's silhouette is part of its identity, and that won't change abruptly. One subtle tweak to watch: a more uniform MagSafe ring finish that blends more seamlessly with the back glass and frame color. It's a small detail, but it addresses a long-standing aesthetic gripe and tightens up the overall look. Don't expect exposed internals or transparent novelties. Expect refinement, camera upgrades where it counts. If there's a place Apple typically flexes on Pro hardware, it's the camera, and the iPhone 18 Pro rumors suggest meaningful gains. The headline feature: a variable aperture main camera. Unlike fixed aperture lenses, a variable system can physically adjust how much light hits the sensor. The benefits are big and practical: cleaner low-light shots without cranking ISO, more natural depth control for portraits, reduced overexposure in bright scenes, and smoother, more cinematic rendering across conditions.